What's up, Gene?
Hey.
Welcome everyone to Cars, Shops, and Collections, and thank you so much for watching the show, subscribing to the show, and today we got a 1965 Ford Mustang Shelby GT350. How cool is this? Under the cover right here, Mr. Stevens. There's a little peek. Mr. Stevens is, I should wait for him. I should probably wait for him to uncover.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Stevens is the owner, and he should be back here. And I don't know what we got here, and we got something here. We got bonus footage today. Wait till you guys get a load of this car right here. One of 562, and this car has been driven. All right, everyone. So, and it's not Stevens. It's Stephan. Stephan. Mr. Stephan right here. Thank you so much for showing us what's under this cover right here. This is going to be an absolute treat. Let's start by taking the cover off, unwrapping it for everyone. 1965.
1965.
Ford Mustang.
Ford Mustang.
Shelby GT350. The real deal, right? This is a real one. This is not no clone.
No, it's a tribute car because the paperwork is screwed up.
Okay, but we believe it's a real GT350 Shelby?
My belief is, but the documentation through the Shelby register says it's not.
It's not.
I bought it as a Shelby in 67 from a wrecking yard. And the state I bought it in does not issue titles on wrecked vehicles.
Okay.
So I couldn't get it titled.
Okay.
So, but it didn't matter because I was racing it.
And you drive this thing, right?
Oh yeah.
As you can tell, it's been driven.
It's been abused. The sign is no bull.
This vehicle driven daily and abused on the weekends.
Correct.
Take it from the back here.
It's very, very, very accurate.
How cool is this? Just unwrapping this right here.
Extra point to the car shows.
So if I have my facts right, you come back from Vietnam, right?
Yeah.
By the way, happy you're home and thank you for your service too.
Okay.
So you come back from Vietnam and you go to and meet Caroll Shelby at his his garage.
On the way back, I stopped over in LA and went down to the airport and imposed myself and met a bunch of guys. And I guess you could say I met Caroll Shelby. I mean, handshake, thank you very much. And then he was off doing 10,000 other things.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. And I saw these things sitting there. And this is 66.
66, okay.
And so he's still playing, no, excuse me, 67. 67. He's still playing with some of these that are raced. But there's no production of these cars there anymore. Ford had taken over production in mid-67.
Okay.
So anyway, I got all hot to trot. And I was going to buy a 67. And my ex-wife had other thoughts on the subject. So I didn't get one. I was going to buy an Avante. And she had thoughts on that. So, long story short, I bought this at a wrecking yard. It was painted maroon with silver stripes. I found out later that was the school colors for Tom Payne, who raced one of these at the Can-Am series, and don't know what happened to his car. I bought it. I was told I could have what was left of the motor if I get it out of there. In fact, if I haul the whole body out, I could have the car for $300 bucks.
In 1967.
1967.
Right.
So we threw some tires on it and tied a chain around it, and I towed it home, which led to an interesting domestic scene for several weeks.
I'm sure.
And proceeded to go make a deal with Norris Ford.
Which you have right here on the side of the car, which is in Baltimore, right? One of the biggest Ford dealerships. They've been around for over 100 years.
Baltimore Norris Ford, they were amenable to giving me a limited sponsorship. So I had this car parked over there, and we were working on it after work. I worked at the steel mill, so after I get off work, I go to Norris Ford and work on this, and their mechanics worked on it. It was kind of a team effort. And then Ford came up with the Ford Drag Club.
Okay.
And I'm national member at number 226.
226 to me with the drag club seems like a lower number. Are you one of the founding members of this?
I was one of the early members of the Ford Drag Club. And that got me an additional 10-15% from Ford Motor Company, plus the money or the discounts I was getting from Norris Ford. We put the car back together and we drag raced it.
So this you build this in 67, now you're drag racing this car in 67.
Yeah. 67, 68, we're drag racing this.
This interior is so neat.
Yeah, okay. The point being, and the reason why I'm saying it that way, is that the technical information that made it from the West Coast to the East Coast about what was appropriate for the car was at least 190 degrees out from established fact. They were saying one thing and it was actually something else, which I didn't discover until I came out to California. But yeah, this thing was put together entirely wrong based on popular history on the East Coast of what a Shelby should look like.
Okay.
And brought it out here, towed it out, and had a gas station in Riverside, and one thing led to another, and I started drag racing it. However, I made an amazing discovery, which you guys might find it difficult to believe. You'd work 20, 30 hours a week back east, getting this thing ready to go to spend 15 seconds or so at a drag strip.
Sure, yeah.
I could work the same 20, 30 hours a week out in California and take this to Riverside or Ontario Motor Speedway or a plethora of other small tracks, and I could drive 200 or 300 miles for the same. So I gave up drag racing in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
That sucked. And then I started researching the handling package this is supposed to have, and the traction and the brakes and the gears, and I just went completely crazy.
When did you paint it the Wimbledon white? When did you paint it?
Well, it's not Wilmington white, is refrigerator white. And it's another, let's just say I have a talent for being at the right place at almost the wrong time.
Okay.
A buddy of mine was working for Earl Shive. And we had taken the car down there on a Friday, and him and I sanded the crap out of it. Come Saturday, for $29.95 or where the hell it was at the time, $39.95, he shot it white.
Really?
Shot the whole goddamn car right over the maroon, which was neat. However, we couldn't move it right away. And before we could move it, the place got busted by the Westminster Police Department.
What?
Yeah, we got raided because these guys were painting cars on the side when Earl Shive was supposed to be closed using his material.
Oh, okay.
And the only thing that kept my car from being towed out of there was I had a work order. So I was actually had
legit.
a work. Yeah, I was legit. Other than that, they'd hauled this son of a bitch off to the impound lot, and I probably never would have got it back. But that's the story on how it became white. Several weeks later, after my buddy got out of jail, went back down to Earl Shive's and we shot the blue stripes on.
So what year was that?
Well, this was, oh God, let's see. About 1970.
So this is that same paint, same blue stripes since 1970?
Yeah. I mean, if you rub it nicely with a nice waxing cloth, she picked them off. The color comes off on the towel.
Really?
Yeah, it's so oxidized. However, I have no way of replacing the graphics on the side of the car in order to repaint it.
The front end.
Yes, that's an R model.
Front end.
Front end.
Replica or the real deal?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. Because, all right, again,
because there's 562 of the Shelby GT350s, but only about 33, 37 of the racers, and those racers have this front end.
Right. Okay. I told you, I'm one of those guys who was at the right place at almost the right time.
Uh-huh.
There's a guy named Bill Meyer up in San Francisco area, and he was making parts for these cars. There was a gentleman who did the original made the original parts for Caroll Shelby named Tex Collins. Bill Meyer was not paying Tex Collins royalties on the parts that he was duplicating. So I don't know exactly how I fell into meeting Tex Collins. However, him and I made a deal. He sold me the original bucks for me to make the parts.
Uh-huh.
And I agreed to pay him 15% of whatever I sold.
Okay.
As a royalty. And so I ended up in the fiberglass business making parts for Caroll Shelby. You're talking about the paint.
Mm-hmm.
If you notice the paint on the hood, the blue stripe on the hood, okay. Another one of those, right place, maybe. We were taking off to go to a car show.
Uh-huh.
I checked everything under the hood. I threw my wife, my children in the car. We took off down the street, and the hood that was on the car blew off because I forgot to put the hood pins in.
Oh, gosh.
Now, I go back to my shop.
Yeah.
I take a stock hood that we set up for sale, break out cans of blue paint, paint the blue paint on it. My wife and I put that hood on 75, 76. Okay. Yeah, about that.
Uh-huh.
And the hood's not painted. That's white gel coat. That's the way we set them up when we were going to sell them so you could paint it. So that's white gel coat with a can of some kind of blue squirted over top of it to put a stripe on it so we wouldn't be late for the car show.
And it's still here today?
It's still here today. I try to be at the right place at the right time, and I generally end up being a day late and $1 short.
You guys ready for this?
It's not much to look at.
Educate us on what you have here.
What I have here, okay, it's another story. 1967, Ford was running, or Shelby was running Ford GTs at Le Mans.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't working as nicely as Ford or Shelby wanted. So they took the custom-built 289s out, threw them aside, and put 427 cars in, which of course then they won the race. However, they had built a 1967 Ford Le Mans 289. And I found the specifications for that car, and I built this engine. This is aluminum heads, sodium-filled valves, roller rockers, steel girdle around the mains, steel girdle around the oil pan. I've got a 9-quart oil pan on here. It's baffle gated, so you can do road racing and not starve the engine. Oversized radiator, oversized expansion tank. And the engine is supposed to put out, with the supercharger at 6,000 RPM, supposed to be 530 horsepower. On pump gas, but not real well. It needs 110 lead. It run really good.
The 5 is for 65, right?
Right.
The S is for Shelby? And
then 5S is street. The 5S 502 is the number that was on the original block when I bought the car.
So this is number 502 out of 562 then?
Correct.
Okay.
In theory. This one, the documentation was a number stamped on the engine block. And that's what I checked with Ford with, and Ford said, well, yeah, only Shelby stamp their engines to go in particular cars.
Okay. Can I sit inside of it?
Sure, why not?
So here is, is this part of the original paint color then that's coming through?
The maroon, yeah.
Yeah, oh, that's cool. Sitting in automotive history right now.
Everybody keeps asking me what's original, and I can tell them you can take your hand and spread them like this, touch the car any place you want, you won't find an original part.
Oh my gosh. So this cluster, this gauge cluster here was part of the Shelby GT350, right?
In 65, yes.
65, they added that right there.
Yeah, that was one of the things that they did. And when the supercharger came along, the bottom gauges, the fuel pressure, and
Right down there.
And the temperature that was added there.
The roll bar back here, roll gauge.
Oh.
Where's this from?
Okay, did you ever hear of a guy named Dean Moon? I'm working for Dean Moon, and he has me on a budget. And I worked too many hours. And he turns around and says, look, I know you need a roll bar. Yeah. He says, okay. We've got the prototype for the 1966 Shelby over here in the loft. He says, I owe you 14 hours worth of work. I'll swap you the roll bar for it. I said, yes, Dean. And there it is.
Oh my, so that's the prototype.
That's the prototype that they never used.
Holy cow.
That they never used because you imagine if you're a young lady in a skirt. And there's a back seat on the 66.
Yeah.
And you have to crawl between here and between here, get back.
It's too tight.
Yeah, anyway, so.
Look at that. Let's do two things. One, we have to see what's underneath here.
Okay.
And then two, can we start it?
Oh, God, yes. You're gonna need good batteries and bad hearing. Okay.
Let's see what's under this cover right here. I think I know what's under here, but for everyone watching. So that was the 65 right there. And this here, we're going to 66.
Yeah, underneath the license plate. And a Nerf bar. Okay, there we go.
Holy cow.
Okay, we can roll it a little more.
Oh my gosh. 1966 Cobra.
Yes. In fact, I even had Gary Patterson and Vince over at Shelby sign the hood.
That's the Shelby Heritage Centers here in Las Vegas.
Yeah. Okay, now we get the rear.
Those guys.
Well, like I said, I've been a pain in their ass since 1967. So.
Can you guys believe this? Talk about a surprise. So is this real?
Yeah, it's a real Cobra.
When did you get this?
About a year ago. This is one of those toys that took me 50 years of hard work and pain and destroying my body.
What's under the hood?
Believe it or not, a little 289.
Okay.
That's exactly why I got it, because I did not want the 427. I did not want the stick shift.
Well, the 427s are probably worth a couple million, right?
Probably. However, you see, I got this for cruising.
Hey, not bad. Not a bad cruiser.
Precisely. And so
Whoa.
So I got this.
Here's the signatures from the guys at Shelby.
Yeah. So I got this for cruising. 289, get good gas mileage out of it, and I don't have to worry about, if I want to go fast, if I want to do 160 or so, I drive that one.
Okay.
If I want to cruise along, maybe 100, 110, use this one.
All right.
And it's a convertible, but you don't see too many with the top on it.
Where are the convertibles too? I mean, so much water leaks through the convertibles. It's kind of pointless to even put up, right?
No, this one's pretty tight.
It works solid. Oh, good.
And of course, the side windows just poke into these holes.
Right here.
Yeah. So.
Let's come back. Let's come back and break this down. So, but right now, let's.
You want to hear the noise?
Yeah, let's hear some noise. Woo! Hear that sound? They come to here. Perfect. Awesome. Turn it off here.
Yes.
This is perfect. RJ, thank you so much for showing us your collection here. This has been fun.
Well, it's not really a collection, it's just an old Mustang.
Well, you have the Cobra here, the 64 underneath that tarp right there, right? So it's a collection to me. Thank you so much.
If you ever want to do antique classic cars that has absolutely no value whatsoever, you can do that one because it's a beautiful car. It runs great.
The 64?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll come back. Oh, don't worry. This is just the first of us.
Oh, okay.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for everything.
Yeah.
Truly appreciate it. This has been fun. What do you guys think? Thank you for watching. If you want your car, shop, or collection featured on the show, then shoot us an email at carshopsandcollections@gmail.com. That's carshopsandcollections@gmail.com. And thanks for watching, and be sure and subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes of Cars, Shops, and Collections. How do I say your last name?
Stephan.
Stephan. Okay.
Stephan, like Stephan out.
I was saying Stevens.